Welcome to the Refrigerant 365 podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and today we're joined by Les Rhynard with FMHero. Les, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been looking forward to it. We've been talking about it for a little while, and we finally got our schedules to align.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you on and share your refrigerant compliance expertise with our audience. And I know that you've been in the refrigerant industry for a very long time. When did you get started?
Well, I got started in the 90s
Wow.
with a little company called Refrigerant Management Services, and they had an office in Michigan, and they launched one in Phoenix, and I knew one of the owners, and they brought me on. It was straight commission, so it was like they pulled me out of where I was working. I was running a independent automotive repair facility at the time and then one of the owners talked to me and said, "Hey, come over here. We're doing this thing with refrigerant and the recovery." And so I started on a truck, basically running a route truck, almost like a Snap-on tool truck, going shop to shop. So recovering cylinders for them on site, talking about job site recovery, selling them refrigerant. We were reclaiming and all this stuff. So that happened in 2002. Myself, Adam Dykstra, is one of the co-founders also of FMHero, and Rich Dykstra founded Rapid Recovery. Okay. And we did refrigerant recovery, and out of cylinders, out of units. We decommissioned the USS Mercy Navy hospital ship. We worked on aircraft carriers, demolition, supermarkets, DoD, residential, supermarket, you name it. We've done that. We did recovery on Hurricane Rita. We did over 5,000 units that were damaged by the hurricane. They knocked those out and did all the documentation for those. So, and that's a lot of what we were doing is the recovery is one aspect of it. All right. And then there's the documentation side. And Rapid Recovery gave us a very unique look at the industry because it's all one industry, but the scrap yard operates differently than the contractor, and they don't understand completely on the contractor side, and the contractor doesn't understand completely on the scrap side, but they do work together. And then you have equipment owners, and so there's these little gaps where, while it's all one industry, they all have their nuances. And Rapid Recovery really gave us a unique look to see how that stuff flows. We had to get into people's platforms that they were using and enter data for them. And we'd go into enter data, and it's like, hey, this system is in your program 3 times. Which one do you want us to apply this recovery to? Because it's the same system, but it's entered 3 different times for whatever reason. Too many hands in the process, right? And that messes up your documentation, because now when you get an audit, you can't explain this unit because there's different records for that unit. So we end up selling Rapid Recovery to A-Gas. We took it national. It's an international company now, but we sold it to A-Gas, and we really looked at the documentation side and said, oh, man, I think we can solve that. Mm-hmm. And so we started working on solving it, and that's what we did. It was very interesting. We were talking beforehand, and we had to start with the technician, right? Because everything happens in the field. All the other stuff is, we need this data, and then they put out this protocol of check boxes to get the data, but it doesn't work because it's too far removed from the actual field work. So, we set out with the mobile app, because your phone knows where you're at. Right? You can take pictures with it, and you can share information. So when you have a technician on it that can use their phone, they're required to maintain their own records for 3 years, right? Their own personal records. Their company records don't count. The facilities records don't count. And there's no practical way for them to do that until FMHero. So they use their phone, they scan it in, it pulls the data in, the AI reads it, you trust it, you verify it. Okay, yep, that's good. And you move forward, and you just try to eliminate the typing and just go through clicks. And then we tied that into contractor version, which launched in January, and now equipment owner, which just launched. We call it asset ops. So, A lot of investment to release the free one for the technicians, right? And there'll always be a free one for technicians because we want them to be able to be in compliance. So even if their company's not using it, they can use it and they'll be in compliance.
Got it. And when did you, so I get, it sounds like when you were working on the recovery side, you really got more and more interested in the compliance and in the documentation, right? Which is that what fueled the inspiration to create FMHero is?
Well, it's a necessary part, right?
Okay.
It's very necessary that we do that. And that's part of what, as a third party vendor for our clients, got audited regularly, some of the people we worked with, right? And they counted on us to have that portion. Now we don't do the charging, we're not doing service work, we're just doing recovery. But there's a few things. A, they're counting on us to do the documentation. So none of our clients could fail. We had to do the right documentation on the recovery side, right? All the way, so we had to do that and provide it. And we did. In fact, we automatically sent out annual reports. Our clients didn't even have to ask for them. They just got them. But at any point during the year, they could call us up and said, hey, we're getting audited. We need all the recovery work you've done from this date till this date or this date forward. And we just go in and pull it and send it to them, put it in a nice, it looked pretty, all this stuff. Demolition contractors needed to present some of that stuff, depending on the jobs they were doing. So we would have it. So it was a necessary component of the recovery process. The other aspect of it is that refrigerant is worth money, right?
Right.
So they want to document that too and know what came out of that job, because that's offsetting this cost or that cost, or they're looking to get that back. So we didn't even, as rapid, we weren't always the ones that the refrigerant went to, right? Sometimes we'd recover they were selling it to a different recliner. We did the recovery, but it went into somebody else's cylinders. Well, that was a way for them to verify the weight and the document of the recovery before it went in, making sure they get their refrigerant value on the recovered side.
Got it. So you're really, it's a necessary part of the entire
100%
refrigerant management.
And that's right. And we had to be on top of our game in that. And we were, and that's part of the deal.
Yeah, but it definitely seems like it's an excellent background in order to now have this platform that you have now, like FMHero. So they really provided the necessary foundation for you guys to really launch this for the techs, the contractor, and the equipment owner.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting. We didn't realize when we went to do it, we started with the technician, and we realized quickly that, wow, we can't actually solve this unless we figure out how we're going to track cylinders, right? Whether it be out of disposable cylinders, refillables, recovery cylinders. You have to be able to do that because the refrigerant's going into those and then it's being transported somewhere else and dropped off or emptied. So that was something that we're like, very quickly, we're like, we're going to have to figure that out. So it took a bit, but we did. We did it with disposables as well. And those are really tricky because they're not serialized, right? So we created these fields where you can track and batch them and tie on the POs, things like that, and be able to see what's on. Like if you're in a Teams version as a contractor, you can see if you're scanning the stuff in, you can see it on your inventory, what's on each guy's truck, right? And when they charge a system, it automatically digitally adjusts the weight in that cylinder. So that that, that cylinder's only got 8 pounds left in it, right? Or they're turning in an empty cylinder and you're like, this should have 8 pounds in it still. Where'd the other 8 pounds go, right?
Right.
So maybe it's a coaching issue. Maybe there was something that happened. But it allows you to see a much better inventory level across your organization and where it goes.
Got it. What would you say when you do tell, techs or contractors that you do, help them with EPA compliance?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times it's such a buzzword, it can almost become antagonizing for a lot of
it. It's true. It's, you have the regulatory component, right? And you have people it's kind of like the IRS. They're afraid of it, right? They don't understand it completely. They know there's a bunch of rules out there. They use an accountant maybe for their taxes, but they're like, I don't know about this refrigerant thing. And so I like to focus on, hey, you can be more profitable. And we joke that if it wasn't for the regulatory component, people would probably be more receptive to the conversation because you'd just be talking about increasing their bottom line, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of, but you dance around that. There's people within the industry that get, they're more highly scrutinized. So those people get it because they have to deal with it all the time. But the people who are they're not as highly scrutinized, they kind of have their blinders on and they're like, I'm just going to keep going and hopefully nothing will ever happen. Or, oh yeah, our system takes care of it. But it really doesn't. Had a meeting with a large contractor, and their service division uses one platform and their accounting division uses a different platform.
Mhm.
So they're like, all of our stuff balances out. But the accounting's like, no, you guys lost $140,000 in refrigerant. That's a lot of money,
Yeah,
right?
that is.
And they're like, and both of them think they're right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why don't you just run FMHero outside of both of those, right? And find out who's right. So, so sometimes people, and then sometimes I think, people don't want to be that accountable, right? And know, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's easier not to know. So it's a long conversation, right? And it can be delicate, as you say, right? We try to stay from antagonizing. We're here to help,
Yeah.
right? We don't shy away from the conversations. We've had the conversations with Rapid, we're proactive. We're solving a problem. That's what we're doing. We understand the issue. Like I said, Rapid Recovery gave us a very unique look at the industry that most people don't get because we worked with so many different areas within the industry itself as a whole. So, but what I like to do personally, I always like to bring it back to profitability.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can increase your profits our little motto, I think it's on my shirt. Yeah. Track it, control it, profit.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We can track it, then we can control it. And we can do those things, we can profit more. We have better profit. And the funny thing is, if you do that,
Mm-hmm.
you solve automatically. You don't have to worry about the compliance side anymore, right? Treat your refrigerant as the commodity it is, and profit from it better. Get higher margins, higher profitability by tracking it, and you solve the compliance issue altogether. I like to bring it back to, let's talk about increasing your profits. And the regulatory part will take care of itself.
Okay. That's a really good way of approaching it. I
Yeah.
think for sure. For sure. In your conversations with these various stakeholders in the industry, and we are talking about, compliance, refrigerant pricing, as well as profitability. What do you think is on their minds, like in terms of where we're at in the state of refrigerant management?
I think they'd like an easy button, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I can just hit the easy button and make it all and make everything line up, let's do it. But there's a lot of moving parts in it, right? And so with FMHero, we're continuing to improve it all the time and attempting to make it as easy button as possible. So
Okay.
to the point of, like I mentioned earlier, right? When you have the piece of equipment that's listed in your compliance documentation 3 times, guess what? You're not going to pass an audit because that system, there's no way to do it. But if we take it from the field perspective and you do a single source of truth, so the technician does the work on his phone, and as he's doing it, it's showing up in the web platform for if he's on a team with his contractor, it's showing up there, and the equipment owner also can get it. So you have a single source of truth. Everyone's sharing the exact same piece of information because it all came from the tech in the field at the job site. No one's entering anything out of a work order. No one's entering anything. Now, we're not an invoicing platform, so you're still going to use your regular stuff for that. But as far as the refrigerant and the service record history on your equipment, that's all there. And it's only entered one time by the tech in the field. Now, you can review it and ask questions before it's finalized as an equipment owner, but there's no multiple hands, there's no multiple entries. So you're saving, if we go back to the profit side, now you're saving a bunch of internal costs of people spending time entering data, right? Where mistakes happen. So we're eliminating that aspect of it as well. So where they're at, I really think is like, if you pulled the regulatory compliant the portion out of it, they'd be going, hey, can we be more profitable on our refrigerant side?
Yeah.
Right? But because there's a regulatory component and it's, it's lengthy and it's there's a lot of rules, and a good person like, talk to a Keely Whitman, right? Like it knows the regulations out. It's just a great resource, but you have to do all that stuff, and it's intimidating, right?
Yes, I think it's very intimidating. Yeah.
Yes. So, we want to just make it an easy button. If you use our platform, you're going to track your refrigerant, you're going to manage it well, and then you're not going to have those issues. It's really interesting because we just got back from FMI a few weeks ago, and it was stated, actually Keely said it like that when she got started with the EPA in 2007, the average leak rate among grocery, 25% average rate, right? Today, she's like, today it's 25%. Well, if you take what you pay per pound of refrigerant, just that, and you're leaking on average 25%, let's tighten that up, right? And you can do that if you have a better ability to track the service record, and how often what piece of equipment is getting charged all the time. Is there one that needs special attention because there's something going on with it, right? So on a high level view, that just even that area where keeping better records and having the ability to do it with a single source of truth in the field, then you're going to be more profitable. You're going to eliminate a lot of stuff and allow you to that's not bad for the contractor either. These organizations have replacements they could do more upgrades, right? There's other work that would come down the line other than the emergency service calls, going out and adding refrigerant and try to find that leak. And then you got to do leak repair, right? Leak verification. So, and we track all that. And within our app, when you do the proper process, it resets the clock on your leak rate. So it's doing the math in the background for you on that, as well as keeping track of what your leak loss rate is per piece of equipment. And now that they're going down to systems, not just 50 pounds and above, but all the way down to 15 pounds. That's a big deal. No one's ready for that. No one's ready they don't know what they have below 50 pounds because they've never had to track it.
And
right?
when does that
Now, January 1st, they're going to have to start tracking systems with 15 pounds or more. And there's some talk about them pulling back on that a little bit, but if they don't get it done by January 1st, which is not, the consensus is that's not likely, that they would change it before January 1st. So let's say they do change it, but it happens in June. You have a 6-month period where you have to be in compliance with the current regulations, right?
Yeah.
So either way, you need to get it in there, because you're going to have a 6-month period where you're an easy mark because none of that stuff was in place.
Yeah, no, definitely. And where do you think we are with the refrigerant transition in the AIM Act?
We'll see, right? We'll see where it goes. What I like to tell people is, for us, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right? Because no matter where the regulations go, here's what we know: regulations can get relaxed, they can get more strict, right?
Yeah.
All those things are true. They can add more later. Maybe they take it down to 5 pounds. Maybe they go back up to 50. For us, again, if you can get back to profitability, we want to help you to be more profitable within the app by tracking your refrigerant.
Yeah.
If you're losing refrigerant to the atmosphere, you're losing money, right? You can just put dollar bill signs on that hiss because you're losing money. If you were going to retrofit that system and you pulled that gas out, guess what? The gas you recovered would be worth money to you, right? So there's a value of the refrigerant when you recover it. There's a value of refrigerant in your system, and when it leaks, you're losing money. You're losing efficiency, operational efficiency. So your utility bills are higher, right? Might take you a little while to figure it out, but they're higher. So again, when it comes to the regulatory, we're solving the problem. If we track our refrigerant, it doesn't matter where the regulations go. If they get more strict, they get more lax. We want to focus on making sure you're in compliance and doing that at the same time while providing an opportunity to be more profitable.
Got it. And how long does it take for onboarding? If someone's like interested in y'all's platform, how long does it typically take for them to get started with you guys?
It's quick. There's tutorials built into the app. You can sign up on the website and get going that way. We can walk you through it.
Okay.
Now, if we have, some of it depends on the size of the organization, right? So if you're a large organization, you got lots of assets under your organization, like you're an equipment owner, then there's the data migration, things like that, if you want to pull things over, which will help you do so. But if you're, we have over 30,000 downloads on the mobile app in just over a year. And so that's easy. You go to the App Store, you download it, and you create your hero name, and you get started using it right now. And it's free, right? There's an app with mobile, some more features where you get some web access and stuff. It's $15 a month for the techs if they like the extra bells and whistles. Contractors just log on and go, and then it's a matter of how big is your team. You're gonna get all your people signed up. There's no admin user fee. Everything's just based on how many people are using the mobile app. All right, so it's very fast and easy. And again, there's just different nuances depending on the size of your organization that would indicate, the onboarding process. Like, how many recovery cylinders do you have in your organization? Do they stay in house? You got to scan them in, put them on your truck, refrigerant cylinders, things like that. So it's really size dependent, but it's fast. It's not complicated, and it's straightforward.
That's great. Yeah. So it definitely is like an easy refrigerant management platform for all different stakeholders, and you're streamlining the process. So it makes sense. Yeah.
It's like on the mobile app, there's a help area where you can go and you can request features, go straight to our dev team. Right?
Awesome.
You can go, hey, I got this. I'm not sure how to do this. Well, there's a tutorial video there. So, there's a lot of units out there that you can't read the nameplates. They're either gone, they've been painted over, the sun's been beaten on them. In Arizona, the sun's beaten on them for like 6 months. You can't read them anymore, right? Yeah. So there's a process, because the EPA requires a unique ID. Well, everyone goes to serial number with make and model because that makes sense. But if you can't have that, if it's not there, then there's a process within our app where you create a unique ID for that system. Then it lives in our system under that unique ID, and you're fully compliant again. Mm-hmm. And so there's a tutorial video, it's like 3 minutes, shows you how to do that. And now you're good to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, very, very interesting, all of it. And how can people keep updated with what you guys are doing at FMHero? Follow along or?
Yeah, FMHero.com.
Okay.
Yep. So you can go check it out there and review it, keep up to date, send requests. We're, Android and Apple on the mobile device. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. So that's the best ways. We have our founders, we have a podcast as well called Chill Under Pressure. You could follow us there. But yeah, FMHero.com.
Awesome.
If you want to see a demo, it's FMHero.com/demo. You can reach out to us. We'll schedule it, or you can just schedule availability. There's a calendar that shows availability. You can just select the time slot.
Awesome. Les, thank you so much for your time today on the Refrigerant 365 podcast. And I hope that you're looking forward to an exciting year in the world of refrigerants in 2026.
Absolutely, we are. We're excited for it. So thanks, Elizabeth, for inviting me on. It was a pleasure, and I enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
Awesome. Thank you. Until next time, stay cool.
All right. Very good.